G'day geeks. G'day geeks, my name is Chris, and in this video we are talking about a whole bunch of stuff that I've got from various op shops and markets in my travels. So it's a bit of a grab bag, an assortment of odds and ends, but all pretty cool stuff. So let's have a look at my recent adventures. Here's some of the stuff I got. Let's look at them. My first visit at a retro warehouse at the Wangara markets a while ago now, but I think it was back in July, August. So my first time there. Pretty small shop, but pretty jam-packed with stuff as well. And yeah, they had a whole bunch of like bins with loose items and shelves on displays, glass cabinets. They have a lot of like anime stuff, a lot of 80s, 90s stuff, retro video games as well, which is awesome. Yeah, and apparently like every time we go there, there's something different. And the day I went there talking to the owner was a bit of an empty day for them because they have a lot of Facebook live auctions and they get rid of a lot of their good stuff that way. But yeah, the owner there, he gets a lot of stuff from overseas and does trips and stuff. So yeah, some pretty cool stuff that I found there, and he did a good deal for me. So these are the things that I got. So first off, we have from LJN, Rowdy Roddy Piper. So this is one of the bendy figures. Wrestling was huge in the 80s. So this is Hot Rod, Rowdy Roddy Piper, and basically they've got little wire in them and you can bend them. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I was pretty happy to see that. So sticking with the wrestling theme, at the back here we have the Iron Sheik from 1984. Also LGN, and these are the big kind of hefty rubber ones. They don't have any articulation. You can see the paint on his inner thighs kind of wears off. This is very common for these kind of figures. So I have a few of these figures from my childhood, thankfully, but I do remember playing with these and they were pretty terrifying when you'd be hitting them in the ring or something. You'd break your friend's thumbs or fingers because these are pretty solid and pretty hefty. But Iron Sheik was certainly a character. So he had a couple of these old wrestling rubber figures, but I was glad that I managed to get Iron Sheik to kind of fill in my collection. This is Aquaman, Kenner, Total Justice Aquaman from the 90s. So this is when Aquaman had long hair, he had a harpoon hand, he had a pretty cool costume. And I've got a couple of carded Total Justice figures. I don't have Aquaman, but he comes with this massive accessory as all the Total Justice figures did. But yes, he's a pretty cool looking figure. All of these figures, especially Iron Sheik over there, gonna need a bit of a bath, but that's okay. This is an interesting one. This is a penguin from Batman Returns. So Batman Returns is the one with Michael Keaton returning as Batman and Danny DeVito as the Penguin and Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. You may remember the Penguin had a bit of a penguin army towards the end of the film, and this is one of those. So I think they came in a double pack, but this accessory just comes right off. It's got some limited articulation, so his feet move as well, and that just kind of clips over the top and upside down, clips over the top. And there you go, you've got a killer attack penguin ready to do some serious damage. I mean, that's just ridiculous and cool. So does that make it ridiculously cool? Possibly not, but it's certainly a very unique action figure from the 90s. I do love my VHS. I've got a bit of a collection, and Star Trek 6 is one of my favourite films. So this is the last Star Trek film with all the original cast in it from the 80s. Well, this was actually from the 90s. I think the early, no, when was it? 89, something like that. But yes, I definitely no, you know what? I think it was 1991. Yes, I can tell by reading by the back. But yeah, this is a classic film, and very happy to see that after Star Trek 5, Final Frontier, the original cast from the 60s TV show were able to come back and make one more film and go out on a high. I love this film, Star Trek 6, one of my favourites. Also, he had a whole bunch of these. You don't see a lot of Dark Crystal merchandise. Classic Jim Henson puppet film. I think one of the first films that had no humans in it. So yes, the Dark Crystal was a wonderfully creepy fantasy film from the mid-80s. And these are just a little like postcard things with artwork and concept art and whatever, inspired by the movie. And he had a whole bunch of these, so must have got a whole shipment or something of them. But yes, that's pretty cool indeed. Lastly, this is cool. So this is a mini epic. So I do have a labyrinth one of this, but this is from the Weta workshop, the guys that work with Peter Jackson and did all the Lord of the Rings films. And this is a cute little Frodo Baggins made by the artists at Weta Workshop, and there's quite a few in this series. They all look very cute. So yes, let's open up old Frodo here and see how cute he really is. So the mini epic figure itself comes with a little insert which tells you about their story all the way from New Zealand and shows some of the other Lord of the Rings figures. So that's the one we've got, which we'll look at in a minute. But yeah, you can see they're the kind of exaggerated, cartoony kind of style, but certainly filled with personality, and they look pretty awesome all on the shelf together, I would say. So let's have a look at Frodo himself. Very cute. Comes with Sting, the sword, and he comes with his hairy feet and a little base, which is just plugs straight into as well. So yes, you can see what I mean. Very kind of cartoony style, quite detailed as well, and yeah, I really like it. Not posable at all, just little statues that kind of just fit on your shelf, but the colouring and the sculpting and everything is just amazing. And as I said, I have the labyrinth one as well, so this will go well on the shelf next to that. So yes, I don't know if I'll get more of these mini epics figures. They do them from a whole bunch of different franchises and intellectual properties, but I don't have any, I think, Lord of the Rings representation on my toy shelf, so very happy to have cute little Frodo Baggins here. On the way back from a wedding, I visited this place called Blue Moon Collectibles and Antiques in Pinjarra. I'd never been there before, but apparently it's got quite a good reputation, and they have all sorts of things in there. It was pretty impressive. I was hoping for some action figures and that kind of stuff, but they didn't. But they had lots of odds and ends. You know, they had like cars, and they had a few like expensive items that were from the 80s and 90s, a lot of vintage clothing, you know, tools and all this weird stuff. But yeah, very well organised, very impressive. Just the way the whole store is laid out was pretty cool. And they had some comics, which I was quite impressed by. So some rather vintage ones and some more modern ones. So I flicked through all the comic boxes that they had there and picked up a few things, including this Secret of Nim golden book. Remember the little golden books? You see the back of that just brings you right back if you're of my era. They certainly produce so many of these, and they still do, which is awesome. But yeah, the Secret of Nim 1982 movie with a very interesting development history from Don Bluth after he left Disney. So yes, as is most of the golden books, got text and story. So a nice little storybook. So yeah, very happy to get this Secret of Nim little golden book. So that was one of the things I picked up. They had this Conan magazine. I don't have a lot of Conan stuff, but that cover is by one of my favourite 80s and 90s artists, Julie Bell. And yes, pretty cool stuff in there. So just a black and white magazine with various Conan stories in it. They also had a bunch of superhero comics, including this from the 90s. So this is a very obscure issue, Dark Nemesis, featuring these three bad guys and girls, and wonderful art. And I love the 90s DC Comics. That was really what I grew up in, written by Dan Jurgens, one of my favourite writers. And they had this movie 79 movie magazine, and it's got some pretty interesting articles in here. So it's got a look at the Moonraker, James Bond film. It's got what else has it got? It's got a poster of Star Trek, the motion picture, which is pretty cool. It's got a feature on Mad Max and a little known up-and-coming actor called Mel Gibson. Yeah, it's very much of its time. The main articles in the middle are on The Wiz, the Michael Jackson musical based on The Wizard of Oz. It's got a feature on The Warriors. Remember the classic Warriors film, which definitely has a cult following. And the Elvis movie starring Kurt Russell as Elvis. So yeah, it's got some pretty cool things in here. So definitely a look back at the 70s movies. And you can tell it's of the 70s because it's got an ad for cigarettes on the back. I found these in the comic bin, and pretty interesting. So I have a bit of a soft spot for obscure comics and also Christian comics, and these certainly fit the bill. So these are from Chick Publications, which is a bit of a famous comic publisher back in the day, and they released 21 issues from 1974 to 1988. This series is called The Crusaders, and every issue is like one or two different stories. I mean, the artwork is just on the cover is very kind of sensationalist and pretty awesome actually. The artwork on these is pretty cool. So this kind of talks about evolution and that kind of stuff. And some of these stories just like testimonies of people who came to know Jesus, and very interesting. I mean, the style is very much of that 70s kind of era, and it's all got that hip kind of vibe, and kind of simplistic kind of stories, but there's something quite charming about these as well. So I was quite happy to grab some of these. I've never seen them before, so whenever I learn something about the history of comics and publisher I haven't really got anything from, I'm pretty happy to get these. So yes, this is very much 70s 80s kind of series. Every issue is different, and they're pretty cool, pretty interesting indeed. So yes, there we go. Those are from the Crusaders comics. There's a place called Rhubarb Records not too far from me, and they have a collection of $5 VHS. So I was actually there recently, so I grabbed a couple. I've only been there a couple of times, and as the name implies, Rhubarb Records specialises in vinyl records, but they're impressive VHS collection I always enjoy scrounging through. So here's 3 of the VHS I picked up. So Star Trek 2, I said how much I like Star Trek. So Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan, which is also one of the better Star Trek films, starring the original cast from the 60s TV series. This one, Epic, I never heard of, but it's an Australian animated film, so quite obscure, and I'm looking forward to watching that. Very interesting. And the middle one is directed by Frank Oz, the voice of Yoda and the director of Dark Crystal, and written by Melissa Matheson, who wrote E.T., ex-wife of Harrison Ford. So if you ever want to see Darth Vader fight a T-Rex, this is the film for you. So this is from, when is this from? 1994, I think. And basically there's this American kid, and whatever he places in the cupboard comes to life. So it's pretty cool. It's kind of like every child's dream come true. Their toys come to life. Very much like Toy Story, I guess. So 3 more VHS for the collection. Not often I find action figures at the op shop, so I was very happy to see this little grab bag for $7.50. There's 3 more figures, which I'll show in a minute, but on the left we have some Kenner Batman the Animated Series figures, and on the right we have some Toy Biz Marvel. So none of them have any of their accessories. They're pretty beaten up, as you can tell, but nonetheless pretty cool. And this one, Bruce Wayne's head pops down so he can he can hide like a turtle or something. But Google Lens, I don't use it very often, but it has been useful to kind of identify some of this. So this is from the Batman animated movie, The Mask of the Phantasm, which is one of the best Batman movies. This is just a normal kind of Batman the Animated Series figure. Obviously something goes on his back there, probably a jetpack or something very colourful and wacky. This is a Robin figure, obviously, and he's got a bit of a spring-loaded arm, if I can get it to work. There we go. And obviously, as I said, none of them come with their weapons, or his capes or anything like that. But there's so many variants of these Batman figures back in the day. So they're all from 1992, I believe, or 94. These are from 92. So this is Shatterstar. It doesn't come with his swords. He's one of the members of the X-Force. So pretty cool. And he's got a bit of a button or a thing on the back there, so he can kind of, bit of an action feature. His arm's got a kind of still works, which is pretty cool. So he's actually not in too bad shape, actually. And this is a Magneto. It's pretty hefty, and he's got a button on the back as well. And let's see if I can get this to work. I can do this. I know I can. the last 3 figures from this little op shop haul. This is a figure from the Core line of figures produced by Lanard. These are basically El Cheapo versions of G.I. Joe, if you think about it that way. So yes, not highly sought after in the toy community, but basically these are the much cheaper produced versions of the G.I. Joe. So if you can't afford G.I. Joe, you get Lanard's The Core. We have a Pirate Robin. This is from the Legends of Batman line, produced by Kenner. I love that 90s ponytail. As I said, they keep producing so many variants of Batman and Robin in the day. So pretty cool. And lastly, we have a cyborg version of Batman. So he comes with a big gun. Well, he doesn't at the moment, but he should. And his cape is removable. He's got a cool little red eye. And yeah, interesting silver and blue colouring. So yes, pretty odd assortment of figures, but yeah, clearly whoever had all these liked Batman, and a couple of Marvel figures thrown in for good measure, so not too bad. So a pretty diverse and wacky haul of comics and magazines and VHS and vintage toys from various places. So yes, it's always worth a look at when you're going to new places, just to duck in or just do a bit of a Google search to see what kind of op shops or antique or vintage stores are around, because you never know what treasures you may find. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all of that stuff. Thank you for watching, and if you see anything that you had as a kid here on display, please let me know. I'd be very curious, but yes, I'm very, very happy with this little odd assortment of stuff here. Thanks for watching. Goodbye, geeks.